All right. Welcome back to the Hoops Temple Pod, and welcome to our new guest. We're going to go around the circle here since we now have a video. To my left, well, my right, looking at it, we're going Aaron Schroeder in Sacramento.
Good to see you guys.
Beneath him, we have Dylan Williamson in New Zealand.
Hello, Aaron. I now get exactly what you mean. Like he pointed in a total opposite direction to where you are.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
It's weird. It's and then to his, I don't know, his left, my right. We've got Jack, aka Jokic Yostar on X, Jokic Yostar on Twitter, Jokic Yostar on Snapchat, all social media platforms except Snapchat.
Don't follow that guy. He's a fraud. Okay.
Is it a double Y sound or is it?
No, it's Jokic Joestar. But I mean, I don't. As long as they can figure out how to spell it, I don't really care.
Yeah. That's the Hispanic version of your platform is Jokic Joestar.
Jokic Joestar. Oh my god!
It feels like it should flow together better. I did try to do some work of like watching JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, and I like asked a friend for like the breakdown, and she's like, "Do you want the like short breakdown or the like long breakdown?"
There's hella lore here, so yeah, that's all right. Yeah, I don't know. Season 1 of JoJo's is all right, but once you really get down into like season 2 or 3, it's pretty fun. I'd say stick with it if you fell off a little bit.
All right. Well, right now he's fighting some knight from like 300 years ago that died in the Elizabethan period underwater.
Yeah, that'll happen. Damn it.
Yeah. But hey, one of the most popular TikTok like NBA creators, and your team just won a championship. So we wanted to start off by asking you, what's it like being a Nuggets fan? How long you been a Nuggets fan? What's life like over there?
Being a Nuggets fan rocks. It's pretty much the best thing in the world right now. And that's been a thing for maybe a month and a half. I don't know. Like, I've been a Nuggets fan since for a while, like a long time. There was a moment in time where I was on Twitter as a Tim Duncan stan account, and I couldn't really get into like modern arguments with people about stuff that was happening in like the regular NBA. I was just in all these like all-time arguments, and so I was like, who's like a niche player that I could just like rebrand to that's kind of like, I don't know, just like silly and doesn't get a lot of love online. And at that point, like, I don't know, it was like Jokic versus like Jahlil Okafor talks. And so I was like, okay, I'm on the Jokic side of this, and I've just kind of ridden it all the way to the top. But I don't know, fucking rocks right now. I mean, yeah, winning the championship rocks, losing Bruce Brown stings a little bit, but I don't know, I'm still riding the high of the title, no doubt.
What was the darkest moment of Nuggets fandom?
Oh, I went through this today because I saw it on Twitter. It's the fakest thing in the world. Is Anthony Davis's game-winning 3 in the bubble? Because I was like, I went through all of his numbers before and after that point. He's a career 29% on every other three-pointer he's taken outside of the bubble playoffs, and then he's like 38.5% in that postseason. So I'm like, cool, perfect. That's pretty much like swinging every series the Lakers are in that postseason. So yeah, that sucked, but I don't know. We moved past it.
Hey, having Aaron on the pod, like, I guess having Aaron on the pod, there, this way.
Stop with the fucking directions, Nate. I can't do this.
Having Aaron on the pod, we've got to hear a lot of dark moments about Kings fandom. Also, Dylan with Clippers fandom. Yeah, I'm sitting pretty rosy up here with Lakers fandom. That's been treating me nice. Yeah.
Every time I tell a story about the Kings losing, Nate's like, "Yeah, I think I saw them lose one time." Like, that's when the other team scores more points. Like, I remember that. I wanted to mention buying into Jokic stock when it was like Jokic Okafor is like buying Apple in 2000. That's the greatest play you could have made, because that was a real discussion. Like, I remember the Reddit posts on like, which one would you rather have, and they're like, Okafor is better. He's just better. Like, I don't know what you're saying. And
I've been, it's weird. Like, it's essentially, I don't know, like Jokic Giannis at this point, but I've been here through, it was like Okafor, then it was Karl Anthony Towns, then it was like it kind of Embiid and him exploded into like the best-ish player on the planet, into like top 5 conversations in pretty much the same year. And obviously that for like the last 2.5 years has been insane. I try to avoid that discourse online just because I don't know. I like Embiid. I don't want to like beef with the entire city of Philadelphia just because I like this random basketball player. But yeah, him versus Okafor, that's definitely a pretty deep cut.
I was in on the Embiid MVP stuff at the end of the season. I fell for it. Like I jumped ship at the wrong time. Like I jumped right onto the Titanic. I'm like, this ship is going down. Like what's happening here? Like, is this water at my feet? Like I don't know what's going on here.
Yeah, I don't know. I think Embiid deserved the MVP this year. I wouldn't like the Nuggets were so bad for like the last third-ish of the season. They had like a 7-game skid where I remember it started. They some like notoriously bad ref tossed Scotty Barnes for like talking in the wrong direction, and it swung a Nuggets victory. And I was like, yeah, I'll take it. And then we lost 7 straight games, and like it pretty much cost Jokic the MVP, or at least let Embiid run away with it. I was like, cool, perfect.
Yeah, he also sat down the stretch and like he tried. It almost seemed like he wanted to give it away. He's like, I don't want to have to deal with this 3 straight. Like, we'll let Embiid have the pity MVP.
If he had won 3 straight and then the championship, I don't even know what we would do with our hands. That'd be the greatest basketball stretch in history.
No, just modern history. I mean, we still got
in history that we would talk about with like, hey, I remember seeing that.
Yeah, fair. At least of our lives. But that Shaq stretch, I will take 3 championships and 1 MVP over 3 MVPs and 1 championship.
Sure. How old are you, Jack?
I am 24. I'm going to be 25 in like mid-fall, so it's coming up here on the corner.
All right. So you didn't have to go through the really dark days of Nuggets fandom, the pre-Carmelo Anthony time period.
Yeah,
is it 98, the 12-win season?
Something like that. I've gone back through Basketball Reference in like the annals of history, and I'm just like, yeah, this would suck. I'm glad I wasn't around for this.
I remember my parents went on a ski trip in Denver in like 2003, and they're like, "Oh, we're gonna get Nate like a Nuggets pennant." They have a team, and they go into a sports store, and they're like, "Hey, can we get like a pennant for your team?" And he takes them over to the Avalanche. They're like, "Oh no, sorry, we mean basketball." And he's like, "I don't think we have a basketball team. Do we have a basketball team?" And
yeah,
20 years later, you guys are riding high.
I don't know, it rocks.
And we want to talk about who's going to knock you off that pedestal now.
All right.
Contender.
Now that we've given you enough praise, now we're going to talk about your eventual demise.
Yeah,
it's all right. It's cyclical.
Rise and fall. All right, so let's start off with the first question. Are the Nuggets the favorites?
Yeah. I mean, I think so. I think everybody, like, when I think about who really would have pushed them last season, the Suns, if the Suns, like, worked out, then it'll work out 110%, and it'll just be, like, overwhelming. I figure they'll, like, cook everybody in 6, and everyone who's like doubting it now will just look really stupid. But I mean, conversely, like no depth, no defense, hoping on a pretty old Kevin Durant to like be your best wing defender, all that. I don't really see that as like overwhelmingly terrifying. Same with the Lakers. Austin Reeves' contract is off season, probably like best value in the NBA, but it's still I don't know, like they didn't get overwhelmingly good this offseason. And so I guess it'd be between the Nuggets and the Bucks for me. If Giannis is back, doesn't get like Bane Batmaned in that Miami Heat series, I think they probably take the Heat. And that finals matchup would be a lot more intimidating for me. Like Jokic's defense, I didn't get cooked on it online this postseason because the point of attack defenders are a lot better than they have been. But going up against Giannis, I think that rim protection issue would probably be a bit more glaring.
That's why they signed DeAndre Jordan. That was the big free agent move. They needed him, the Giannis stopper. I'm glad. I'm down to look really stupid if the Suns are good because I've been all over that offseason not being as great just in terms of when I think about contenders, I think about can you beat the team that just won the title? with the Suns, they added someone that I just don't feel like really changes that, and health is a big part of that, but they have to get through the entire season, not combust, not break anything, not tear anything, and then play long playoff series in no depth. And I don't think they really improved their 3-point attack in the way they needed to.
I think their lack of depth to a degree is like sort of overstated. Like they didn't have a lot of assets to work with. You know, they didn't have exceptions to sign players. And I think they did like extremely well with what they did have. And like I don't think that this is like a like a 4-man roster. I think this can actually be like a 8-man playoff rotation.
I can't fall for that again because I did that last year with the Lakers. I said like quote they replaced like the worst players in the league with players that are a bit better, and then those guys were just terrible again. I'm not doing it. I refuse to think that like the 11th guy on some other team is magically going to be better, because when Eric Gordon's a nice pickup, that's like the 4th best player that you're like looking at in the face. Or I don't know what the Aiden situation is, but it's awesome when those guys are the 10th guy and then you ask them for more and it's like, holy shit, like this guy's playing 35 minutes a game, like made a huge mistake, like Bull is out here. Like what have we done?
I hate to say it, I'm actually more on board with them now that they have Bull.
Get out of here.
No.
Get out of, that's ridiculous.
Hear me out. Like the thing that I thought that they didn't have was any depth up front. It's like if Ayton sucks, like you replace him with Drew Eubanks, but they were basically locked into having to play Durant at the 4 all season long. And now with Bull, you can get 20 minutes a game out of Bull and not have to play Durant at the 4. You could slide him back down to the 3. And I think if you've got Booker, Beal, and Durant as your 1 through 3, like now you have enough ball handling in there that I trusted a bit more. And you've got some more size up front where they're like, their lack of good defense, having a secondary rim protection, I think it actually works better. I'm still with you. I don't think they will win. I don't think they can beat the Nuggets. But the Bull move, actually, I kind of like it.
You can't play Bull 20 minutes a game. You started that whole thing with that. That's a horrible foundation. You cannot play him that much.
Like the Orlando Magic weren't able to get away with that. And I mean, I don't know. I'm not going to sit here and shit all over Bull. My take on Bull is always that I hope he figures it out. But if the Orlando Magic, again, like a 37-win team, if that, I mean, couldn't carve out like a routine spot for him, like a nice 16 minutes a game, I don't think the Phoenix Suns in like round 2 of the playoffs are going to be like, okay, it's bench time. Our bench unit's in. Bull can carry us through this stretch a little bit here. Like, I don't know. He's just, it's such a like very in between. Like, I don't know. From a physicality standpoint, he's so tall, but he's so skinny.
Mm-hmm.
He's not quick enough to like stay with anybody who's particularly fast. He's not big enough. Aaron Gordon, I would love that matchup all day. I don't know. In a matchup in the
backdoor him to death.
in a playoffs matchup, like I think every minute Bull is on the floor, I would feel more and more comfortable with the Nuggets winning that series.
Yeah. Just who else? He at least adds some versatility because basically everyone else they've gotten is like a small guard. I mean, Eric Gordon's great. He's like 35, but small guard can shoot some threes. Like, at least he's got some size. I don't understand why they gave up Campaign for nothing. I thought that was going to be like the same in and out. You send Campaign for Bull, but it wasn't. It just happened at the same time. It feels like you could have just kept him and had some depth. But... So, thought of this a little bit late / introduced this a little bit late. Championships. We got the odds. We got like 100% there will be a champion next year. If we're saying Denver is the favorite, how much are we giving them of that odd? And we can't go over 100% for everyone we discuss. So you hit your full 100 bar, you gotta it's zeros from there on out. So we got like 30% for Denver, 20 for Phoenix, whatever.
Okay,
got it.
All right.
What are we putting Denver with?
I feel comfortable putting Denver at like probably 25%. I think people act like losing Bruce Brown is just like decimating the entire roster. Bruce Brown's like the kind of guy who pushes you over into winning a championship, and it rocked having him on such a great deal last season. But at the same time, like people who are like, oh, dude, that's a move that swings the Lakers series or something like that. I'm like, okay, well, maybe that's a little bit much. But at the same time, I think they also did get very lucky with health last season, which is a really big part of repeating. And they have, I mean, Michael Porter Jr. just has like a normal health career for the rest of his season. That would rock. I don't know how realistic of an expectation that is. And that's something that definitely worries me. Pretty much every season, nothing happens with it. It's just like, okay, when is the other shoe going to drop? Is his back like just completely good, miraculously out of nowhere? Or, I mean, are we paying the price for like 3 straight deep postseason runs with him just being completely incapacitated for the remainder of this contract? So I'm cool with giving them like 25, 27-ish% in there, but I wouldn't say like they're overwhelming favorites.
Okay.
That's a pretty good number. Don't go with these 27%. I'm not that good at math. There's no I'm keeping track of that.
Okay. Let's give it an even 25. 1/4. There we go.
It's a good point about that team's health with Porter Jr. and Murray, because historically those guys have dealt with injuries, what kept them from winning championships in the past. Is this last season finally when they break through and they're just going to be healthy forever, and that, hey, that sucked when they were hurt? Or is this like, we're going to look back on this in 5 years like, hey, remember when Michael Porter Jr. and Jamal Murray were healthy? We'll have to see.
All right, so we feel comfortable with 25. Aaron, Dylan, you guys want to venture a percentage for Phoenix?
Like 10. I just am not that into it.
Yeah,
I
I like them a little bit more, so I'll go 15. I feel like they've got enough guys that can just do stuff. They can just play.
I mean, as
you
long
know,
as
like
their
that
guys
classic,
stay healthy.
don't play guys that can't do anything. You know, don't play guys that suck. I feel like they've got enough guys that just don't suck.
That's why you come to the Hoops Temple podcast. This kind of fucking analysis. Don't play players that suck.
You know, your bad players, don't play them. You know, you got 3 good ones, run a cool 3-on-5 offense. Yeah,
that's what the Suns are going to be doing.
Just reverse Vivek this, and all right, Aiden, you don't cross half court. We're not going to ask you to post up. You just don't cross half court.
Kind of
defend
onto
the rim.
something there.
Yeah. Don't you just feel like the Nuggets though are kind of like a 5-man team as well at this point? Like looking down that bench, overpaying Reggie Jackson, who was unplayable, then relying on, I guess, like Christian Brown, who actually was pretty good. Like, is Vlatko Čančar going to be a big minutes rotation player? The dude that's on the team because he's Jokic's friend. Like, he's going to be your 7th man.
Truther. I'm not even joking. 100%. Dude, he has a dunk from a free throw line mid-game, I think like a season and a half ago. He's a ridiculous athlete. He's a smart basketball player. I don't know. The Nuggets bench, it's not going to be as good, obviously. But Christian Brown can play a little bit, and I think it will just be kind of a combination of like minutes rotation. I think part of Reggie Jackson's problem was that Bruce Brown was in front of him. It's hard to crack the rotation when there are guys in front of you who you are just straight up worse than. But I don't think him taking that place is just like going to spell disaster every time he's on the court. I mean, cut to 30 games into the season where I'm like, okay, the Nuggets' big move at the deadline needs to be getting like a backup point guard or something like that. But I have faith that the bench will work itself out. And I feel like it's probably closer to a 7-man team than a 5-man team. And I feel like Phoenix is like a 4.5-man team.
It's like the Warriors move to get Gary Payton back. They're like, oh, shit. Like,
gotta bring back Jeff Green.
What is that? Yeah, bring back Jeff Green. The Nuggets did trade some future first for some Thunder first this year. So they did pick up some late round rookies, if I remember correctly. Is that true? That's true. That happened, right? And so they're trying to bring in some depth in that
I think they got one guy from his name's Julian Strother. I don't really pay attention to college ball that much, but I think he was from like Gonzaga or UConn, and I don't know, kind of in the same vein as Christian Brown, just in terms of like draft guys who are immediately ready to contribute. He can really shoot the basketball, and he's supposed to be like a fairly good defender. He's got like good physical tools and everything. Also, Peyton Watson is a name to look out for in the rotation. I think they're probably going to count on him to be able to play like rotation minutes this season. He's got crazy physical tools. He just can't really play on offense, but he should be a good defender. And if you play with Jokic, you should be able to cut and get a layup twice a game.
I watched him play in summer league, and it was him versus Marjan Beauchamp of the Bucks, and it just felt like when two guys from the varsity like play with the freshman team, and it's like, all right, we're gonna go one on each side, and we're gonna be good. And I'm like, I can't tell if you guys are actually good or if like you're just better than everyone else here. But either Denver is gonna have like a nice guy with Watson, and Milwaukee's gonna have a nice guy with Beauchamp, or neither of them are gonna be good. And that's just where I'm at with those two.
Did you guys see Beauchamp score 83 points in the crossover league earlier? I don't know if the Nuggets guy's done that, so the Bucks have the leg up.
Who else is in the crossover league?
That's not
probably
what I was talking
probably
about.
Jamal Crawford. I think Jamal, it's his league. He probably
Is he
plays
still
every
playing?
once in a while. Yeah.
It's actually Scottie Pippen and Gary Payton and Bill Russell's back there. It was a good team to go up against. Should we transition into the Bucks, given the next MVPs on that team and Marjan Beauchamp?
All
Another
right.
team without a lot of depth. And I'm kind of the Bucks stan here. My cat's name is Giannis. Really, the same way that you decided like you're gonna go all in on Jokic. I'm like I grew up a diehard Lakers fan, and then Kobe tore his Achilles, and I was like, "Fuck this season, I'm done." Who's coming up in the draft? And I was like, grainy Giannis videos? Like, this guy's going to be a star. And I jumped on that train. Also jumped on the Dragon Bender and the Thon McCurr train. And, like, a lot of trains that didn't hit. So, like, but I was there at the beginning with Giannis. I don't know. It's the same squad they've had last year. I'm hoping Middleton is healthier and just overall better health. But that usually doesn't happen when teams get older. They were trying to figure out a way to swing a Colin Sexton deal, and I think they desperately just need some sort of scoring punch off the bench. Like if they could find or create their own Austin Reeves or their Christian Braun or someone that can get them 15 points off the bench, like that would be huge. But I think we set the bar too high for Phoenix now, because I like Milwaukee more, but maybe only like a hair bit more. Like
I like Milwaukee significantly more, closer to like the 20% mark. It's closer to Denver than they are to Phoenix. I just feel like,
guys, we only have so many percentage points here.
Yeah, I mean, maybe we won't be under giving these out, given that by the time we get to like Sacramento, it's like 0.01%.
I wasn't going to talk about Sacramento. We're here to discuss contenders.
Yeah, I was talking about contenders. That's my background. Giannis is insanely good. Let's not forget that. And he had the back injury, and the Heat got the best of them. And the Heat always sneak into these playoff series, especially against Milwaukee, and give them trouble. I think that team understands that they are getting cold. I think Drew Holiday came out and was like, I'm retiring after this contract. And with the aging core, like you're looking at one of the last times they're going to take a crack at this with this group, probably. And I still think they're just as good. I think the end of that last playoff series against Miami, and like Grayson Allen ends up with the ball at the end. If Giannis is healthy, it never touches his hands. Like, if it does, like Giannis comes over and kills him in midcourt, and it's like, I'll take that. Sorry about that, and then goes in and drives into the paint. I'm still just as scared as Giannis as I ever have been.
Yeah, I think that's a fair take. It does kind of remind me of 2019, or I guess it was 2020 in the bubble a little bit, where Giannis had that fall off. Everyone's like, oh, Ryan Dunk, man, this guy stinks. And then the next season he comes back, and it's like he is just overwhelmingly, ubiquitously good. Like it's just on both ends of the floor all the time. It seems like he does something good every single play. And I feel like it's a very stark difference. You saw Devin Booker kind of tap into that a little bit in the first couple games of the Nuggets series this season, where he was just like, if you miss 4 shots over 3 games where you score like 100 points, then yeah, you're going to be about as good as Giannis is. But for him to like Giannis sustains that level of play the entire time he's healthy and does it on both ends of the floor. I think as long as like everyone around him can stay healthy, they intimidate me. Yeah, Chris Middleton's a really big shot maker. Drew Holiday, I love what he does in terms of just like you look at the box score and you're like, oh shit, Drew Holiday had 24 points and hit like 5 threes out of nowhere. Same with Brook Lopez. It's a really gnarly team.
Yeah, and I feel like the way that they win out against Miami is going to cause a lot of people to be way too low on them. Like, considering the injuries and also just like the weird, like, I don't want to say fluke because it sounds disrespectful, but like it was a kind of like a fluky run from Miami. And like, I feel like people are
They
going
got hot
to
from 3.
absolutely, like, you can't count on that to just be like, this is some sign against the Bucks that they just let opponents get really hot from 3. Like, that's not how basketball works. Is I feel like if you're saying, oh, this Bucks team lost in the, they couldn't even get a deep playoff run and come to expect that again, I feel like you're really really going way too low on the Bucks. And I think that they are probably, right there above that Phoenix sort of range.
I agree with you all on the top end talent. We're like 2 seasons removed from a major Brook Lopez injury. We're 1 season removed from a Middleton injury. We are coming off of a decent sized Giannis injury with that back, and backs do not. You hurt them and they still hurt. I hurt my back on a trampoline when I was 13. I still feel it.
I just made a video on Dwight Howard. Sorry, go on.
I saw that. Yeah.
Thank you.
Go for it.
I just made a video on Dwight Howard, and he was like the 3rd best player in the league in 2012. And then he's got back surgery. That was it. He was over. He never even touched the same. And yeah, Giannis is more skilled and affects the game in different ways. But you're right in terms of dudes that are really tall and their backs.
All right. Will you guys settle for a 17.5% of winning the championship?
Dude, if you're adding it up. If you're adding these up.
I'm adding them
calculator. Okay. Yeah. That's fine.
I locked in Phoenix at 12.5 since you went 15 and Dylan went 10. So now we're back even. We've gotten 55% chance of the championship out of the way between Denver, Milwaukee, and Phoenix. Anyone want to nominate the next team?
Before we move on really quickly, I did want to mention the coaching change for Milwaukee. I feel like that's important because as much as Budenholzer is appreciated for winning a championship, that dude was out the door. Like, he was gone in that Brooklyn series. They were like, he sucks. I never want to see Milwaukee again. He's the worst coach ever. Durant steps on the line. They win the title, and then he falls into a few more seasons. I don't think he was that good of a coach. And I don't think losing him is gonna hurt. If anything, maybe something fresh, something new. I do want, in a way, someone to coach Giannis and be like, hey, man, know those jumpers you take that you missed? Don't ever fucking take that again. Like, if you're not under the basket, don't shoot it. Like, just go dunk on this person and then try to get these jumpers much closer, but stop shooting threes. And I know the spacing matters and whatnot, but I do feel like Budenholzer was kind of just like, let's go Giannis, and like whatever he did.
Yeah, on those jumpers, every time, you can see the defense when he starts like his 30-minute jump shot. Everyone just goes like, okay, we can take this possession off. And then if he makes it, he makes it. But it's such what the hell are you taking a deep 2 for, bro? Like, it's such a bailout to the defense. I hate those possessions.
It reminds me of the long 2s in like the early 2000s that guys would take. Like, their foot is like almost like their back of their foot is touching the line. But we didn't understand the 3-point thing yet. And it's like, I take long 2s. What do you mean? Like, this is my shot.
Closer to the basket.
I started off this offseason with being like, I'm going to watch the old finals games. I've thus far really failed at doing that. I've only watched 2. But this game 2 of the 90s finals, Bill Laimbeer, he's like 6 for 9 from 3, but he also hits 3 2s where like the front or the back of his feet are on the lines. And I'm like, what are you doing? You could just like 2 inches back, just a little bit. And those are 3s and no one's looking at it. Well, all right. We've got Denver, Milwaukee, Phoenix. Who wants to nominate the 4th team for contenders?
Boston.
I'll throw the Lakers out there.
All right.
I'll give you the Lakers, Nate.
Yes. Lakers, we're lock stocked. We are reloaded. We have a backup center on the roster, which is something we haven't thought was necessary for the last couple of years. The LeBron at center lineups kill me because he has zero rim protection, and it's the quickest way to give the lead away. Got some more defensive depth with some Torian Prince minutes. It's out there. I'm stoked. I think they are on the Milwaukee tier of this, just from an overall depth. And I think they continuity, and they found something that works. They found a players that fit alongside LeBron and Davis.
Do you think last season is reasonable, unreasonable, or like perfectly in the middle in terms of expecting that health from all of your players again? That's my big thing when I think about the Lakers and this postseason run.
Let's see, because I think both LeBron and Davis missed about 20 games, and if I could get 60 games from each of them, I'm pretty happy with that. Okay, they were 55 and 56. They missed more like 25 games. I'll take it. I think that's pretty reasonable. LeBron has been an Iron Man his entire career, but now with age, I think a 55 to 60 game is more likely.
Yeah, that's what I thought too. It's just like if you could grab the exact same health from this season for LeBron and AD and run it back, knowing everything you know about how things on this roster fit around them in terms of like how much you can play certain guys. I think it's a sweep in the Nuggets series. It's hard to change that, but I think they probably take a game or two there at the end, especially. I don't know if you agree with this, Nate, but it seemed on like some of those down the stretch of some of those games, LeBron was getting shots because he's LeBron, and Austin Reeves would get like a possession where he would just like keep them in the game with the craziest like up and under layup or like step back 3 that I've ever seen. And I'm like, why isn't he shooting the ball more for you guys?
Oh yeah, and no, they absolutely should have been going to Reeves a lot more. The one other thing that I just thought of with regular season performance for LeBron and Davis, with the new rule that you have to play 65 games to be all NBA, I think that some of those like rest days for LeBron and Davis, or those like, I tweaked my ankle, I'm going to sit these like next 3, might be I'm going to sit these next 2. Because like LeBron's been resting in the middle of seasons for a long time. I think they will both strive to hit 65. I think that means something to David or to LeBron. So that's going to help regular season wise, but playoffs, 100% agree with you. Reeves needs to be a bigger part, and I think he will be a bigger part. I think that's what they finally figured out clicks.
I lost my train of thought. I wasn't even saying anything, and I lost my train of thought. A big thing with Davis is it's not just the ankle tweaks and missing a week at a time. It's like in playoff series when he crumples to the ground like a cookie, just falls into pieces, and you're like, I think Anthony Davis just died. He leaves at halftime. He misses the end of the second. He misses the third. He comes out in the fourth, and he's like kind of the same. Like that costs you a game.
Yeah.
And that's when it's a 7-game series, like that shit is really tough to handle. And he managed to stay healthy in 2020, but through the last a few years, like you can't just be like, yeah, Davis is he died, and here he is again. Like those back and forth are tough to do when you're trying to beat Denver, trying to beat Golden State or something.
Dude, the thing that killed me in this last postseason was there was that clip. He got like a stinger on his arm or something, and he gets up and he's just like, I can't feel my arm. It's like a war movie or something. He like plays the entire second half, no problem. I was like, dude, what happened?
There's a website, I forget the name of it, but it's like how many it is literally like how many times does Anthony Davis fall over? And it's just a tracker. It's a guy that watches every Lakers game. And you go on after the game and it's like, yeah, he fell over 5 times this game, like hit the ground. And
Dude, I needed that. Because before the
a great
playoffs,
website.
I asked you guys, do you think was it minutes Joel Embiid spent on the ground or PJ Tucker points? And I'm not sure which one went on that, but but that's a good thing. Like Anthony Davis falls, or like I don't know, I couldn't keep it in. D'Angelo Russell stupid turnovers.
It's just a Davis Falls website.
Man, I'm gonna reach out to that guy. Like, can you watch Sixers games too? I just need to like just have a stopwatch. Like, and he's on the ground.
Can you get an intern? Just do the 76ers. Are you guys comfortable with 17.5? You want something more or less for the Lakers?
What are the Bucks
less.
at?
You want less? All
What's
right.
less than the Bucks?
Okay.
That's
How
what I'm
much
saying.
less? More than Phoenix? Can I get more than Phoenix?
More than Phoenix, less than. What do you think, Dylan? Like, where are we at?
I think much less than Phoenix. Like Phoenix at least has
Damn.
a much higher level of
Yeah,
like
done.
top end talent.
Yeah.
Let's go,
Dylan, you were just
dude.
gonna let us all talk here and then just jump in with the dagger of like, nah, fuck this.
Fuck LA.
like you can't win a championship without a top 5 player. And what are the chances that Anthony Davis or LeBron are able to consistently play at a top 5 level? I think much lower than 10%.
Damn.
Like at least with Phoenix, I know that I'm getting Kevin Durant, and he's maybe still the best player in the world.
Dylan did that shit. The KD. No, he's
You're out of your
before
mind.
I said maybe.
What are the Suns at, Dylan? What do you have written down? I'm willing to go equal.
we had Suns at 12.5%.
Yeah.
12.5%.
I feel like the Lakers are like 7.5%.
It's very similar top heavy teams.
Yeah.
Also, both very dependent on health.
Yeah.
It was
With
weird
guys
how
like
Anthony
Bush.
Davis kind of like, I don't know, did he like break a finger or something this like because in the postseason
Yeah, he forgot
just
how to
seemed-
shoot.
all his like even like I've never bought into the AD mid-range stuff. Like that's a shot I will settle for 100 times out of 100 if I'm the defense. But his floater, especially in game 1 of the Denver series, he gave Jokic like 25 points off floaters and it disappeared for the rest of the series. It was crazy.
You think he has the Collins thing going, the John Collins issue? Remember that picture of John Collins where his fingers don't point in the same direction? It's
Do not
like,
like
oh,
that
maybe
picture.
that's probably the issue. It's like,
He was taking some notes pre-game and just like got a cramp in his hand from holding the pen for so long, and that kind of like lingered with him throughout the entire series.
and John Collins has like 9 fingers on one hand. I mean, he's just this like massive ring finger, and yeah, that Davis anomaly is similar to like in 2016 where Draymond's like the greatest shooter on earth and he shoots like with a backpack on every season after that. But with Davis, I just don't think that's coming back. And with LeBron not being a great 3-point shooter anymore, that spacing is going to be crucial because that's what made the 2020 Lakers so fucking devastating. Was those guys
Davis could
He
both?
shoot
never shot like
threes.
50% on jump shots.
Yeah, they were
Yeah.
insane to watch. They were unstoppable because the spacing was there. But as soon as those guys have to take their shots 5 feet closer, it's like I'm actually not as worried.
That's why they could really use Bol.
Oh my god.
I had to say that right as Aaron stretched. I was trying to get a laugh, and then he's like, "Nah, I'm just gonna stretch this off instead." All right, we're locking the Lakers in at 12.5. Dylan, I will not hear worse. We'll talk later.
Name me a third player on the Lakers that you trust in a playoff series apart from, I guess, Austin Reeves.
Austin Reeves.
Like, who's your fourth? You're going like D'Angelo Russell, who was totally unplayable.
Max Strus.
You want to get some Rui
Max
minutes.
Strus.
I guess Gabe Vincent is a good pickup.
Yeah. Sorry, not Max. Gabe Vincent, not Max Strus. What am I? Bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Rui, I don't really trust him to repeat what he did this past year. They're in the playoffs. Like, that was insane. But Vanderbilt, I expect to be better. I think those two will even out. Like, we'll be fine.
I mean, I would say what? Gabe Vincent, Torian Prince, Rui Hachimura would all be in contention for the Suns' 5th best player. And then Vanderbilt on those nights where like the ball is just like magnetized into his hands and he's locking down half of the other team all at the same time. I mean, like, obviously you can't get that out of him every night because he's so bad offensively, but I think the Lakers down the roster have a lot more talent than the Suns. I really do not like the Suns, like the bottom of their bench.
Yeah.
I think this is going to be the year that people finally realize that Torian Prince is a bad defender. Like, he looks like a guy that's good on defense, and this is going to be the
He
year that people are
does.
like, oh, wait a minute. What's going on here? This guy's like 6'8", long wingspan, but
He does look like
he's
a guy
letting
who's
guys
good
go
on
past him every time.
defense.
He looks like, yeah, that's true. I think of him as like a 3-and-D guy, but maybe not really.
He's mostly a
Yeah.
3 guy.
I do get nervous about these Heat players leaving the Heat. And are they gonna play well elsewhere?
Yeah, after we just said that they hit this incredibly fluky hot streak and like played way above their talent level, and now like that's your starting point guard in a playoff series.
It's like
Hey,
black magic.
It's sketchy.
keeping them
It's
alive.
sketchy.
it's sketchy, but like, you got him and D'Lo, like one of them may hit. Like, you take a couple of stabs at it. Like, and is that if that's your 5th, 6th guy down at the roster, like, I'll live with it.
It's very
if we want-
classic LeBron, because I could see the arguments like in 10 years, nerds online are just like, LeBron had Gabe Vincent and he couldn't even get it done. Look at what Jimmy Butler, a true leader, was able to like get out of Vincent in the 23 postseason run. And LeBron we lost in the first round with him or something like that.
I'm still just saying, why couldn't he get more out of Larry Hughes? Why is Boobie
Exactly.
Gibson the best guy? And
Ricky Davis.
yeah,
He couldn't even win a Ricky Davis.
Could
Yeah.
Can I
resuscitate
nominate-
Ben Wallace.
runs
Yeah, but
Carlos
yeah.
Boozer out of town. Aaron, who you want to nominate?
I got a spicy nomination, and it's an interesting one. A team with a lot of turmoil last year. Can we talk about the Memphis Grizzlies? Don't laugh at me, because Nate's making the face like he's about to laugh at me.
I wrote down the contenders I expected to talk about. They were not on my
And
list. Of
they weren't on the
contenders.
list, and
They were in my all other teams category.
I was befuddled. I was befuddled by that. I felt like of teams just thinking about, all right, we're playing Denver. They have the inside presence with Jackson Jr. and Adams. They have a nice defensive guard. What's left of him and Marcus Smart for someone like Jamal Murray? But if John Moran cannot be a fucking moron for 10 seconds and stay on the court, he's such a dynamic player that no one can stay in front. Just thinking about how that's going to affect Jokic trying to defend the rim over someone who's like trying to jump over him, like that Vince Carter dunk in the Olympics all those years ago. Remember what I'm talking about? Like jumping over that French dude. Like that's what Ja has in mind every fucking time he touches the basketball. Like I'm going at this, and that scares me. I think they also have the Desmond Bain for the spacing, and that's some 3-point shooting that Phoenix really doesn't have. I like Memphis, especially in that Denver matchup specifically.
Yeah, it's hard. I don't know. Like when I think about Memphis, I think the thing Denver theoretically could struggle with a lot is not just Ja's finishing at the rim, but also trying to help with that. And then Ja is such a spectacular, like drive and kick guy, just in terms of like finding the open man out on the 3-point line and like recovering to that without like the go-to guy that Denver would throw in rotation at that would have been Bruce Brown. I guess it would be Christian Brown now, but I don't know if I like him as much in that situation. I think they would struggle a lot with that. I don't know. Memphis is weird. I think they're really well built to give Denver a hard series, but at the same time, if they run into Phoenix, I don't like Marcus Smart in terms of staying with somebody who's like quick. I think he'd be an okay guy to throw at like maybe Kevin Durant, but throwing him at Bradley Beal or Devin Booker at this stage in his career is just asking for trouble. And I think Phoenix would probably take care of them pretty quickly.
I appreciate the pushback. I did want to throw in Luke Kennard for more spacing. They have these great 3-point shooters.
Newt Kennard. I love him, dude. He rocks.
I'm out. I mean, like, what are we talking? 2% chance? Because they're also just
I was thinking like
inexperienced.
3.5.
Yeah, the experience is an issue, and then also the second Ja Morant goes down or like is hindered in any way, like an ankle tweak, the entire like their whole team changes. It's really hard.
It does remind me of the. Sorry, Dylan. It does remind me of the pre-Derrick Rose ACL thing, where like, why did Derrick Rose get hurt? And you watch him, and you're like, holy shit! Like that guy is driving like he doesn't even care for his knees, and Ja is like jumping and landing like he's made of titanium. And eventually, when he like, because he had a really hard fall, I mean, against Los Angeles, and if that comes down and it's worse, like he's never jumping like that again. Go ahead, Dylan.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about the inexperience being a hindrance to a deep playoff run for them. Well, how about just like continuity? Like Ja Morant's missing the first what is it, 20 games?
25.
I thought it was 35.
Damn,
Is
no
it-
one
is it
knows.
3
I think it's 25.
5?
We are
It's
NBA
25.
experts, somewhere between 20 and 35 games. So, and then like players don't come back from missing 20 to 35 games and just like pick up in mid-season form. Like that dude's gonna be fucking rusty. And so
25.
like you're on such a back foot right away, and then you've got to try to like work through that after your team's already built continuity and like built an identity, and then you've got to reshape that halfway through the season. Like I think that's a difficult thing to do as well.
And the
That's why
bottom
they
of the
brought in
West is
Derrick
going to be.
Rose. They brought in Derrick Rose to do the same thing.
Yeah, you just plug and play. I don't know. The bottom of the West, like if Memphis were to fall into a bit of a seeding hole through these first 20 or 35 games, jury's still out. The West has like 11 teams when you really get down to it, where you're like, am I completely comfortable saying they're not going to make the playoffs? Like, I get that the Mavericks stunk last season, but like Luka and Kyrie, I have faith that they'll figure it out to some extent. Like, I don't know, you just go through it and you're like, you don't want to have Ja coming back, taking Marcus Smart shots away. You're trying to figure out who does what offensively, all while you're trying to stay above that 6 seed. And even if they do get that 6 seed, if they still get if they don't get home court in a first round matchup, I don't love it very much for them at all.
It's 6 seed would be a miracle. I mean, they're jawless for the first 25 games. Like
They played
we're
fine
talking,
with Ja.
they played fine without Ja 2 seasons ago. This last year they were like about 500 without Ja, and that was with Tyus Jones, who's no longer there.
And he rocks.
I do want to note it was 25 games. I did look it up. 25 games.
Okay.
Got it. Yeah, I think 2% might be generous.
Can we do 3?
Can we do
Final
2.5?
2.7.
I'm doing 2.5 because now we're up to 70%, and we still have not discussed Boston, the Warriors, Philly, Miami, Clippers.
Sacramento.
Holy shit. That is a lot. Yeah, okay.
Right?
maybe
go
we have to
Boston.
reshape this.
Yeah, I don't know, we might have to go to 130% or something like that.
See, last year we decided to do like a wins thing, and I was like, cool, but we have to keep it within 1,200 something wins, because like that's how many wins there can be in the season. And I was like, oh man, this gets a lot harder because just
Everyone's good. Everyone's winning 67 games next season.
Yeah.
You get to the point of the offseason where you're like, every move was good. All of their young players get better. They're going to take a huge leap. And then when you write it down, you're like, someone has to lose. Someone has to get beat. I saw some prediction on some account. I like the account, but they said the Pistons will win like 35 games. I'm like, the Pistons win 30 games. I said I'd buy a Pistons ticket and eat it. Like, it's like someone has to beat the bad teams. Like, someone's got to be at the bottom. Just because you like the young core doesn't mean you're getting better necessarily.
Yeah. All right, Boston. We gotta talk Boston. They bring in Kristaps Porzingis. They move out Marcus Smart. The whole team has a different vibe. They went from a 3-point guard rotation to a 3 bigs with KP, Robert Williams, and Al Horford. Do we like this? Do we think that they're the Milwaukee tier? Are they the Phoenix LA tier? Are they somewhere below that?
Yeah, I messed up. I mentioned the Lakers because they popped into my mind. If I had written this down ahead of time, my tiers would have been probably like Denver, Milwaukee, maybe a bit of a gap, and then Boston. But I probably would have had those 3 chunked together. I like Boston a lot. I think this season that Jason Tatum plays like an entire playoff series without having 2 games where he shoots like 24% from the field, that's going to like revolutionize what Boston can do as a basketball team. It feels like every playoff series they have a couple of those games that they just like barely survive until they run into a Miami team that they can't do that against anymore. And I don't know, maybe I'm being too hard on him, but I hope he figures it out 110% this season.
I did like the Kristaps move quite a bit, just in terms of it's a different look offensively, because Kristaps, he can score and shoot threes from really far away. I mean, if I remember correctly, he's been one of the, it's like him and Steph take the longest threes. He's like way fucking out there. I need to
Hey,
stop swearing. My grandma
and
listens to this
Suns
podcast.
superstar Eric Gordon.
Yeah,
Oh my
forget
Eric,
about
it's true. I want to re-say that point and drop the F-bomb so my grandma doesn't get mad at me. I like the Kristaps acquisition because he really gives him a different look because he's shooting these really, really deep threes. If he doesn't stay healthy, it's a disaster. But I felt like it come playoff time, Boston ran into these stretches where if the threes weren't hitting, and it's like, all right, Tatum, like go do something, and that's what gets you the 24% games and hit these crazy ISOs. And he's exhausted towards the end of these games. Um, Nate's gonna do a beauty editing that to splice the long 3-pointers together. It's gonna perfect. I don't want to get an angry text from my poor grandma there.
Then we have to move Dylan's, little
Yeah.
little excerpt around.
Cutting your
Just
workout
creating
for you.
work for me.
I don't want to get
Gotta
that
earn my
text.
keep.
Why do you square so much on your podcast? I'm sorry, grandma.
Yeah. I mean, like, Miami had an insanely hot shooting series. I went and pulled it up, and they're shooting 43.4% as a team on 200 threes. He's over that 7-game series. Like, that's just a ton of threes to be jacking up and hitting that high of a percentage at. And it still went 7. I feel like they've introduced so many new variables that I feel like their percentage is both higher and lower. Like the floor is now so much lower in my mind, but the ceiling's equally high because Porzingis, you guys mentioned he gives them that 3-point stretch. He also gives them a post like touching stretch. Like they haven't had a post player to mess around with for a while. So I don't know. Do you guys want to put them in at 15 and drop Phoenix and LA down to 10%?
What do we have? Milwaukee at 17.5.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I'd say that's a good enough gap between those two. Yeah.
I might even go, now that we've already locked it in again, I might even go a little bit lower. Just like, I feel like there's so much combustibility on this team in terms of health. Like, Kristaps Porzingis has had like one healthy season in his career, and now the Celtics are all in on him. Like, the Clippers wouldn't take Malcolm Brogdon for Marcus Morris because his back or whatever was so messed up. Like, and then a real lack of deep bench players. Rob Williams was never healthy as well. Al Horford, like the trajectory of players' careers is always that you don't see it coming, and then all of a sudden there's a massive drop off, especially for big men. And like Al Horford's getting fucking old. Sorry, Grandma. Al Horford's getting old. Like
Al Horford's old as shit. Oh my God.
All right.
That's a lot of variables that can go wrong, and if like 2 of those things happen, then like it gets pretty rough.
That was an insane indictment of Malcolm Brogdon that the Clippers wouldn't get rid of Marcus Morris for him. I thought they'd be stoked, like, dude, someone's taking Marcus Morris. Like don't hang up the phone. Like, so this is happening. And to hear that coming back because of that health issue is kind of crazy. Especially for the Clippers, who only play hurt players. The Clippers, what's with the Clippers and carry injuries now?
I feel like that trade originally makes so much more sense. And like the Boston getting Tyus Jones for Marcus Smart, and then it would have made so much more sense before everything fell apart. But that's what happens when you scramble. So I agree with you, Dylan. Let's bump them down to 12.5. We got Phoenix and LA at 10.
Let the Lakers fan handle the percentages on the Celtics. This is.
Let's bump them down to about
I did not agree to that.
Hey, listen, if they're at 12.5, we're at 77.5% overall. We still have the Warriors, the Heat, the 76ers.
You can put the Heat down as 0. There you go.
Yeah.
Put that one down. Pre-Dame trade.
Below Memphis?
Before the Heat, without Dame, yeah.
Okay.
That Heat run's not happening again. I can't see it. There's no way 37-year-old Kyle Lowry, maybe. 38-year-old Kyle Lowry, no way in hell. Not happening.
Yeah, fool me once. Yeah, stuff like that. I mean, I don't know. If we're going to talk about the Heat, it's just, I mean, you can't just keep pulling undrafted shooters. Like, you can't just keep, like,
or
farming
can
guys.
you?
It's not possible. They can't keep getting away with that.
They keep doing it, and then the guys go to shit as soon as they leave. Sorry, grandma chairs. We're
It's just my goodness.
Aaron, just tell your grandma not to listen to this one.
Maybe I might just tell her to avoid this one. Yeah, at one point, at some point, you have to be good enough to make the play-in. And I'm worried about Miami because they barely were last season. My favorite part of last season was when I predicted the Heat were going to lose to the Raptors and then to the Bulls, and they lost to the Raptors. Or no, sorry, they lost to the Hawks. And I was like, I was right. The Heat are dead. They're going to lose to Chicago. And then with like 5 minutes left in that Bulls game, they were down to Chicago. And I'm like, I am the smartest basketball TikToker on earth. Like no one else predicted this. And then they won and they went to the finals and it was all gone.
Yeah, they won that play-in game. And then I looked ahead and I was like, they might snag the Knicks in the second round. Mm-hmm. This is the most Miami Heat run like I could possibly. Yeah, of course they get the Julius Randle Knicks. Yeah, lock this in as the finals berth. Oh my God. And yeah, I don't know. It's if it happens, it happens. Anything's possible. But yeah, like Kyle Lowry is old as shit. The offense is gonna stink again. I mean, Jimmy Butler, like really, I guess he hurt his ankle, and that's why he couldn't really sustain that super high level of play all the way into the postseason. But being able to like be an offensive vision for an entire NBA season and then do something like that would be something completely unprecedented for the kind of player he's shown himself to be throughout his NBA career. So yeah, I guess if we have Memphis at 3%, put the Heat there at 3%, that's my vote. But to be honest, everybody outside we've already talked about is probably going to get like decimal points from me.
Can we discuss if the Dame trade comes in, what kind of percentage would that look like? Because at this point, this is a stalemate. This trade's going to happen. When is it going to happen? What are the deals going to be? That memo came out saying, stop doing that. At least stop pretending to do this, but they're still probably going to do it. Just not be as mad about it.
Yeah, I love that. Like? I love that report where it was like, for months, it's just been Dame, I'm only playing for the Heat. I'm only playing for the Heat. The NBA is like, buddy. And he's just like, I'll play for anyone. I don't know why you guys are acting like I'm crazy or something.
It's just my age keeps telling everyone.
If the package looks like, I don't know, like Tyler Hero, the Martin twin, Jaime Jaquez, and a bunch of bullshit. Sorry, grandma chairs. Then I don't know. I would bump them into the Boston tier. Probably. When I think about it, I'm like Boston has the continuity advantage, and they're younger, but have a ton of playoff experience. But at the same time, I'm like, Damian Lillard and Jimmy Butler, that's two true hoopers right there. That's two tough bucket getters. So
and Bam.
And Bam. I mean, I love Bam Adebayo. I think he's nice. But in terms of like as the terrify me in a playoff series, I'll let Bam Adebayo average 35. That offense is going to stink. So I don't know. But I would have them with Dame without gutting their roster into the Boston tier. So probably around 15-ish%. Whatever we had them at.
All right. So I say what we do right now is we put them at 5%, just because they don't have Dame, but they're likely to get Dame, and then I don't have to do as much math rework.
Hey, you're the calculator. You do what you want to do. You know.
We're at 82.5%. Warriors. Anyone vibing with the Warriors having a shot here?
Who's left? We have 18% to divvy up with who?
Golden State, Philadelphia, and who else?
You got to give like 20% to the Clippers as well, so that's already
The
math's already broken.
Can we do a percentage on the Sixers making a conference finals? We set that at like 15% or something. I think
they put it at $8 million or whatever the Paul Reed contract is.
Damn, that's right. I forgot about that.
Sneaky Ainge, classic.
Just the best offer. Dylan, I'm so glad you told me about that, because I was just like, it's Paul Reed. I don't care about whatever this deal is. And you're like, no, you gotta see this.
It's important.
Yeah, I'm glad that I got to catch like a live reaction on video of you just like losing your mind at how beautiful that contract was.
It just why isn't everyone doing that to contenders? Like from now on, that's how whenever you try to steal someone, you're gonna put that in there, or like, you know,
They were waiting for the new CBA to get locked in so that they couldn't take it out of the CBA. But now we're locked in for however many more years.
it's
Now they
really,
keep doing this bullshit.
come on, they got to at least be Philly's got to at least be on the Memphis, probably higher than Memphis. It's like
I like Memphis. I don't like Philly that much. Philadelphia is in the midst of this Harden disaster, and that's a bigger problem
Memphis is
to
the
me.
midst of a disaster.
But he's just coming back. He's just going to be back, and they're going to play basketball. Harden's going to be gone for who knows what.
I feel like Memphis can surprise us. I feel like Philadelphia probably will not. What's like? Are they getting Paul George back for James Harden? That feels super unrealistic with a year left on his contract. Like it feels like if Harden goes to the Clippers, I've said since the news of the trade demand dropped that Embiid's asking out at that point, and that I stand by that. Like the team is just going to be. I love Tyrese Maxey. Tobias Harris was underrated at one point, but I just don't think there's any fixing the roster if you lose James Harden for the Norm Powell trade package.
Yeah, I was really big on trying to ship him to the Knicks, but the Knicks won't touch Harden with a 10-foot pole because as soon as Harden's gone, Embiid asks for a trade. I think that actually is scaring away a lot of teams of like, well, fuck, we're not going to trade for James Harden because we want to keep assets for Embiid, and Embiid's not going to want to play with Harden again. So like, we're not going to do that.
I just can't imagine something good happening to the Sixers. If I close my eyes and imagine like Joel Embiid holding a championship trophy, I black out and wake up in the woods a week later. Like I can't imagine these events happening to get to a championship.
Yeah, it's just insane. When Harden demanded a trade, I was like, well, that's like I don't really think that's gonna work out super well for him, just given like everything he's had in the postseason and health and age and all that. And then I looked at it, I was like, you are a unrestricted free agent next season, and you're expecting somebody to like give up considerable assets to rescue you from Philadelphia. You're out of your mind, pal. I don't know.
Or maybe he's not expecting that. He's not expecting a big trade package to come back. It's like the reverse Carmelo Anthony Denver trade, where he's like, "Yo, you got to trade me, even though I could just go sign with him in free agency." And then like they gut the roster, and he gets to New York, and there's like he's got no teammates. It's like the opposite of that for James Harden. He's like, "Yeah, you got to trade me, and you're doing it for Norm Powell and Nick Batum."
All right, fine. I listen to you guys. I hear you. I have the math, but we'll put them down as a 1% chance. Fair?
It's so yes, that is fair, but I just want to like Embiid should be better than this in the postseason. Like when I hear Philadelphia 1% chance, I'm like, well, they have one of the best players on the planet. Come on, what are you talking about? And he was really good defensively, but just like I don't know, hit me with a car sometimes when I think about Joel Embiid. It is so frustrating.
We're gonna end up bumping back up Boston. I hate this.
Yeah.
This. All right.
You can't hold off. You can't hold off.
Did we give the Warriors a percentage?
We've not, and I think we should.
I think we kind of talked around them, right?
Yeah.
I think the Warriors are good. I think Chris Paul coming off the bench, and he will come off the bench. I don't care what he's saying about wanting to start. You're not benching Looney or Wiggins for him or Draymond. I mean, maybe you bench Clay. Is that the move that Clay would come off? But no. But they have 6 players that I trust in the playoffs between that starting 5 and Chris Paul, and they're good. They're one of the best starting lineups.
I don't know.
Like
You go, Dylan. You go.
like I was saying all last season, like I never gave up on the Warriors. They were like my championship pick all through the all through the entire season, just because when their 5 guys play, like, they're really fucking good. And I feel like they got better. Like, the bench is looking better. Another year for Kuminga or Moody, like, surely one of them becomes a rotation player. And they got, like, Chris Paul to just, like, keep things going when they don't have all their starters playing. I kind of wonder whether, like, this is my tinfoil hat theory, is that the reason that the Warriors gave Draymond all that money when they probably shouldn't have is that he agreed to be the 6th man, Andre Iguodala style, because the Warriors are at their best when Draymond is playing with the bench. That's what unlocked them last season and made them actually a good team. Is they absolutely fell off every time you took Steph off because he was tied to Draymond, and then instead they went Draymond with the bench, and then they were competent both ways. And you don't want Chris Paul playing without a traditional center because, like, he can't do anything in isolation. Like, he needs a pick and roll partner, and Looney's probably like the best rim runner at this point. And so I think Chris Paul's a better fit with the starters, and then you get Draymond to run the bench. That's my tinfoil theory.
I like it.
The Warriors do still scare me, just in terms of the top talent. Steph is unstoppable. I am worried about. I'm a little bit worried about, like, Klay Thompson and his streakiness and he has to take all these shots, and he's never coming off the bench. Like, he just has that kind of ego to him in a sense, and he's got to scale it down a little bit.
That man got Kevin Durant as a teammate, and he shot just as many shots as before him.
She's like,
I ain't sacrificing shit.
Yeah. So you're gonna have that, and I think Chris Paul and Draymond are gonna be awesome. Those guys just do what it takes to win, and they're better than last year. I like it better. I like Chris Paul more than like Jordan Poole. I'd say like 10, 12%.
Yeah, I was going to have them pretty firmly below Boston, but then pretty firmly above everyone, like we just touched on in terms of, like, Miami or Philadelphia or stuff like that. Steph is so good. The Kings just learned and everything. He's still spectacular, but it's just like, I don't know. I worry about, I think when the chips are down in the closing minutes of a playoff game, it's still going to be this thing where it's like, anybody but Steph scores right now, cool. And, like, I don't know if Chris Paul is in their closing unit. I don't really know what that looks like. I think that'll get kind of hammered out throughout the course of the season. But just in terms of, like, another kind of dynamic offensive shot creator, it will just be difficult for them to put anything like that around Steph.
I think missing Wiggins, and Wiggins played 37 games last year. Him being back, hopefully no more family situation, because it's not like an injury took him out. I think that's going to help a lot. All right, so let's lock in a percentage for them. You were saying below Boston, but how do we feel below Boston, above LA and Phoenix, below Boston, below LA and Phoenix?
What are LA and Phoenix at?
10.
And how much do we have to, like, give around for the rest of
We
the
got
team?
wiggle room. We got some wiggle room. We got like 18.
I like them less than LA and Phoenix.
Yeah. I'd say probably like 8. I'd be comfortable with personally.
8 sounds good.
Well, I'm gonna go 8.5, just because we're at 83.5.
We love round numbers. We love round numbers.
I want to get us back to a round number. Now we're at 92% with just the Clippers to go. So they're going to be our last 8%, right?
Perfect.
That's what happens when you force Philly at 1.
Oh, I mean, I would probably disperse that a little bit more throughout everyone else. I don't know. Respect to Dylan and respect to Kawhi Leonard. I love Kawhi Leonard. I do not see that man playing 16 playoff wins for the rest of his days. I don't think it's happening. And that's if he rests in every single loss they have in the postseason. It's just, it's a sad reality. But, I mean, that man, maybe they'll get Harden and he can, like, carry them. I think if you give Kawhi, like, the 2 games that Harden essentially won for Philadelphia in the Boston series, he probably pulls out the rest of the series and they win it. But with the way the roster currently sits, I do not like the Clippers all that much.
that is advanced load management. It's not just managing when the guys play on back-to-backs. It's like, all right, Harden's gonna suck ass in game 6, and then Kawhi will play on game 5 and 7. It's like, all right, like we'll balance all this out. We'll be at full strength for 4 games.
Dylan, you're the Clippers guy. I'm looking to you for a reason to give them a higher number.
I mean, like, they were better than half these teams that we've talked about. Well, not half the teams that we talked about, but half of the contenders. They were better than the Warriors and the Lakers last season in the regular season, despite having, their typical injury issues. Kawhi, I think, showed that when he's healthy and when he's locked in, he can still be like the best guy in a playoff series on both ends of the floor. And Paul George is like one of the most underrated superstars in the NBA. You add in, just like that overall team construct that we've seen succeed for them before of that 5-out play. I think the biggest issue for them, other than just the fact that Kawhi and Paul George are never healthy throughout an entire playoff run, like this could be the year, this could be the one. I think the biggest issue for them is that they match up really badly against Denver.
Yeah.
And like you got to drop down their percentage quite a lot because like it's really hard to get out of the West without going through Denver.
Yeah. Although
That's
I
the
do feel
hard
like they
thing.
match up really well against Phoenix. So like if they can draw that matchup, or Golden State, they've got some matchups that they match up well against.
How about like 5%? I think they have to have the high-end talent to warrant some consideration.
Okay.
Yeah.
I can do 5%.
And give
like
the
a
rest
5%.
Boston.
If we bump Boston back
Yeah.
up to 15.
Can we give
And
like
do-
1.5% to the Cavs?
No.
Over the Sixers?
Yeah, no, I don't buy the. I mean, I love Evan Mobley, and I'll go to war for Evan Mobley. But until that team is like built around a prime Evan Mobley, I don't really see it happening all that much. I think the lights were pretty damn bright for Donovan Mitchell this past postseason, and versus a team like the Knicks, like it's only going to get harder to win a series like that.
So as our math currently stands, Denver at 25, Milwaukee 17.5. If we bump Boston back up to 15, Phoenix and LA both at 10, Warriors at 8.5, Clippers at 5, Miami at 5, Memphis at 2.5, Philly at 1. We are at 99.5%. So we can leave that 0.5 for everyone else in the league.
I'll take it. I like my chances.
The Kings get to share that 0.5 with the Cavs and the Knicks and the
Everyone else.
and the Mavs.
yeah.
I thought about the Mavs just a little bit. Just they have Luka. They have the best player we haven't talked about once, usually in title contention. Who are the best guys in the league, and not even one time do we discuss Luka Doncic, who's been one of the 5 best guys in the league for a while.
Surprisingly, signing a guy whose like only skill was signing dudes to shoe contracts didn't lend itself to good roster construction.
Yeah.
Tragic.
I defended that Kyrie trade. It wasn't that bad. I thought that my perspective was I was making videos saying the Mavs have literally no assets and there's nothing left. You'll never get anything else. I didn't think they could ever get someone like Kyrie, who is an asset, is a good player, has value, and so I thought that was cool. But
and I'm a big Grant Williams fan. I like that.
Oh yeah,
I forgot they picked him up. Yeah, I like him.
Yeah, Seth Curry too. Like they've got a few players now.
Oh, Seth's been a little bit washed.
They don't have a center though, dude. They don't have a center. They don't have a center to play.
You don't believe in the Rashawn Holmes bounce back?
Rashawn Holmes career year, it's coming.
Even if it was like prime Rashawn Holmes, I mean, that's not good enough.
The
and then
rookie
the rest
drafted?
is Lively, and Derek Lively's 20. He's 19. He's not going to be good this year, and you have to win right now. I forget the other center they have.
Is it JaVale
Powell.
Oh yeah, it's Powell.
Yeah.
Can you imagine the Mavs winning a title and it's like, and starting at 5, Dwight Powell?
No, I can't.
All right. I think that's the contenders here, folks. Jack, where can the people find you?
They can find me at Jokic Joestar on Instagram, Twitter, and on TikTok. I'm active on all three.
Not Snapchat. Aaron, where can the people find you?
Possible Chairs on TikTok.
Dylan, where can the people find you?
Playing back that one video of Jack's where he's like posing with his girlfriend and you get to see his sexy thighs.
I got a lot of thigh comments on that video. I've been in
Yeah,
the
half
gym,
of them were
right?
me and my burners.
Hell yeah. Thank you. I appreciate that.
You can find me here at Hoops Temple Pod on TikTok. Love to hear from you guys.